ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz, and on today's episode, we have another COVID delay in the news for a movie that's already been delayed. We'll get to that. No trailer talk this week, as there's not really a lot of exciting trailers coming out recently. We'll get to the new to streaming for this week. It's a very light list, what we're watching, of course, and then our main review for the episode is The Last Duel. But before we get to any of that, I'm joined today by noble Nathaniel Gingrich.
Hello, everyone. How are you this week? Good. Good to hear. I wasn't talking to any of you. I was talking to the listeners, actually. That was just a private conversation between me and them. But I'm glad to hear the squadron is doing well, too.
That sigh was definitely me doing well, sure.
I'm sorry to hear you're up a creek there, bud. What's going on?
Just tired.
Fair enough.
Tired and might be getting sick again. Who knows?
Uh-oh.
Who knows?
Here we go.
Yeah. Never ends. Also joining us this week, it's Tyrannical Ty, Tyler Dallas.
What's going on?
How you doing, Tyrannical Ty?
Good, man. I'm just out here being a tyrant.
Or Tyrannosaur, maybe.
Ooh, yeah. Rare.
I want that to be on your stream all the time. That should be
Can
your
we get a
emote.
soundbite of that? Can we get it? Yeah.
But new subs. Rare.
It's like the MGM roar. It's really bad.
Just cut it in, like have the lion pop up, but use that audio instead.
It's just me. It's just.
Oh no. It's on some e-girl shit.
Also joining us today, rounding out the squadron, it's Big Battle BlakeHolder.
Hey, what up, man?
Back in the mystery machine once again.
Yeah, man. Like I said, we may be gearing down in the final few episodes in this room, so
yeah,
we'll see what we got planned.
A new
excited, man.
Affiliate office of Back Row headquarters.
Yeah, no, we can make that work.
I'm down.
But yeah, man, how was your week?
Shit. Well, busy.
Yeah.
But what's new?
I hear you.
Yeah. Cool. School's
Computer
actually
troubles on a Tuesday too.
Well,
That's
yeah,
frustrating.
Tuesday. It's Monday through Sunday is when the computer troubles happen. It's every single day. I'm ready to throw this thing out the window, dude.
What week are you into school now? Into your
week this
semester?
week too. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
actually picking up. It's actually starting. So I've actually got things I got to do on top of other responsibilities and things I've got to do. So just
sure.
a lot going on. I'm just trying to keep up. Anyone else have anything to report in on?
It's kind of a short week since our last episode. We did record a little later last week.
Maybe I should have remembered that much. That it was like we just recorded 5 days ago.
When did we record? What was that? Thursday.
Thursday.
So that doesn't usually happen, where it's that quick of a turnaround.
Little quattro.
And there has been some news since we last recorded. So we'll get into that here, I guess. Mission Impossible 7 and Mission Impossible 8 are both delayed and get new release dates. This is what, the third time I think Mission Impossible 7's been delayed.
Yeah.
So it has been delayed from their tentative release date of September 30th, 2020, all the way to July 14th, 2023. Or sorry, September 30th, 2022 is what is what I meant to say. And then July 14th, 2023.
Well,
that is the new release.
They're filming these like back to back with each other, right? So I'm sure that's got something to do with it.
Yeah, also the COVID thing. I mean, there's been several news stories about Tom Cruise getting,
very
on set because of people not abiding by the COVID protocols, which is understandable. I think the main thing that everyone said while it was happening is like the things that he was saying was you got to respect it because this is, someone gets COVID, shut down production, everyone's out of a job.
Right.
Like it's not when it comes to that kind of thing, it's not a political thing. That is people would be out of jobs on that set, delays, everything, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, this has been pushed back even more then. So when did last one was what, Rogue Nation?
No.
Or was it Fallout?
Fallout,
Right?
yeah.
That was all the way back in 2018, which is further back than I remember it being, actually.
One of the better Mission Impossibles too. I actually like that one. That's one with Henry Cavill's the bad guy.
Yep. Yeah, that one was really well received. I know it was pretty much loved all around for the most part.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. So this will be 5 years in between Mission Impossibles, which is not that much when you think about it.
Yeah, not unheard of.
Between 2015 and 2018, between the Rogue Nation and Fallout, that felt like a quick turnaround for Mission Impossible because they'd spaced them out pretty well before that. Let me see if I can find the release dates of.
I remember the third one was the mid thousands, and then the first one was like 1980 something.
You mean 90?
The very first one, maybe.
The very first
It's
one
80s?
is 96.
Oh, okay. I was way off then.
96, Mission Impossible 2, 2000, Impossible 3 is 2006, a 6-year gap. Then Ghost Protocol, 2011, 5-year gap. Rogue Nation, 2015, 4-year gap. Fallout, 2018, 3-year gap. So it was the quickest turnaround time between Mission Impossible movies. And now this will be...
Might have been on this one originally. Yeah.
5.
Yeah. This will be 5 years. And then Mission Impossible 8 slated for now June 28th, 2024. That was pushed back from its July 2023 release date.
Okay.
Do we know who's slated to be the villain in that one?
No, I don't think we know yet.
Yeah.
I
was just curious.
Mission Impossible Fallout filmmaker Christopher McQuarrie returns to direct the 7th and 8th installments of the franchise. The sprawling cast includes Rebecca Ferguson, Haley Atwell, Rames, Henry Cerny, Simon Pegg, Vanessa Kirby, Angela Bassett, Carrie Elways, Indira Varma, Rob Delaney, and Charles Parnell, and of course Tom Cruise. So
Forgot
the
Vin
cast.
Rames was in those.
We obviously don't know necessarily if any of those are the villain.
It's probably about time.
No, those are the.
Yeah,
It's probably about time they do a lady villain. So I'm sure maybe like Haley Atwell will be one, and then probably Carrie Elways, maybe.
Potentially. What if they have 2 villains?
It sounds like it. If they're going back to back, it could be a linked one or something like that.
Yeah.
I got a question for you guys. How do you guys feel about the obviously like there's Bond, right? The 007 movies. How do you guys feel about the Mission Impossibles versus like the Bourne movies?
Mission Impossibles first.
Yeah.
You know, like they kind of started that whole action of like like 90s is when that came out. Early 90s is when the original Mission Impossible came out.
96, we just found out.
Yeah, so I think that's got to stay number one for me at least. I never really got into the Bourne stuff though, to be honest with you.
Mission Impossible is even older than that. There was a TV series a long time ago.
Yeah,
that's where I don't know if that's where it came from or what, but yeah. Then I think De Palma does the original one, or Demi.
What other ones are there? There's Bourne, and then there's
Mission Impossible, I'd say. And then you got like your Bonds.
Yeah, I think that's the 3 for the most part. I mean, then eventually they end up making like all the Taken movies.
Yeah,
right?
that would be
It's
one.
That kind of, that kind of
for
the same
sure.
thing, right? You know.
I would say Jack Reacher.
Yeah, definitely part of that mold, I would guess.
Yeah.
The original Jack Ryan's too, where they had like all of those, like the that original series. I can't even remember what it's called. Hunt for Red October and all that other stuff.
Yeah, I'm not even familiar with those.
That's like the Tom Clancy books. That's like even my dad's generation more.
Right.
But I think that
so
what set the Mission Impossible apart was they were always fun. They always had more gadgets and that kind of stuff.
I'm with you,
Yeah.
Alex. I like them.
Then
and
like
they're also not the.
Didn't like
they're
your
also
Borns.
not
I'm sorry,
like
Adam. It's
the-
hard when you're not on the video.
We both. Yeah, I know. It's all good. You go ahead, Nathaniel.
I'm done now. I just said I was just reiterating my point that the Mission Impossibles always had more gadgets than like the Bournes, but obviously not as many as like the
Sure.
Bonds or that time
Sure.
period Bonds.
I was gonna say it's also not Mission Impossible is not like necessarily a lot of the hand-to-hand fight scenes that you'll see with like a Bourne or like a John
For
Wick.
sure.
Like, there are some, but it's more like the kind of the set pieces, you know, the big action sequences, I would say.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I didn't even think of the John Wicks too, so good call on throwing that in there. We totally didn't call that in there.
Well, yeah, you definitely don't have John Wick without either of those movies.
For sure. I'm with you.
All right. Well, our only other news story for the week, guys, there's gonna be a film studio to be launched in space.
Okay.
This is what we need. We've been asking for something new. This is new.
Space.
Is it ran by
movies.
Bezos?
No. This is Space Entertainment Enterprise, SEE or C. This company, I guess, co-produces with is co-producing a new Tom Cruise movie that takes place in space.
Oh boy.
And they have revealed plans to launch a TV and film studio alongside a streaming content studio and sports arena in space, scheduled for a late 2024 opening. There's no way this thing launches.
Is this what the Church of Scientology is doing with all their money?
It might be.
They're expanding to outer space. They're going home. I'm kind of in on it if that's what it is. That'd be hilarious.
It's like the end of Evangelion.
When did you say that it's supposed to launch?
Late 2024, which I think there's 0%.
Okay. I do want to know what the sports station in space is going to be.
That was my biggest question. What the fuck do they mean a sports stadium in space? A sports arena?
You're gonna fly up into space and you're gonna be able to watch a professional game be played in space.
But what do you play?
Space arena.
What do you play? You need gravity for everything.
Yeah, I know.
Quidditch.
You can make
we can
artificial
finally
gravity.
do Quidditch,
No,
guys.
We can't.
Guys, by the time we get to 2024, late 2024, we can do anything.
Yeah, in a year and a half.
Yeah.
Hey.
I'm predicting Quidditch.
I want Quidditch. I want Quidditch.
We can finally do Quidditch.
This is pod racing.
There you go. Synchronized aerial acrobatics. What's some other games? Like really big basketball.
Oh, you know what would be fucking cool if they did like you guys ever read Ender's Game?
No, I didn't actually. That was one of the ones I missed.
Bro, there's like basically this like training facility that happens in Ender's Game, and it's like basically laser tag, and you have two teams that come out from like each entrance. Think of like the Ready Player One scene where they're in the thing flying up and then they come through the wall. It's basically like that. But like, dude, that would be so cool.
I'm in.
Laser tag in space?
Like a professional laser tag.
0G.
I think they probably have professional laser tag, if I had to guess.
Oh, I'm sure.
In space, though?
No.
Space, now that brings it to another level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just have Bezos fund it, man. They'll do it.
Either him or Netflix. They're just throwing money at people.
True.
Yeah, with my fucking $20 a month subscription, please, Netflix. Do something. Jesus Christ.
Anything.
Well, would almost be willing to put money on the fact that this does not launch anywhere close to 2024.
No, that seems a bit ambitious.
Yeah, it really does.
But reach for the stars, boys.
If you miss, you land in the clouds. Or whatever they say.
Yeah, I was trying to think of what that was, too. I think it's reach for the moon.
I think that's it. Yeah, you're right.
Well, anyway, in the meantime, before that space station gets up there and we can start having films in space that are actually in space, we're gonna skip over trailer talk. Like I said, nothing this week, and go to the Adam Schwartz's completely subjective new to stream list for the week of January 23rd through the 29th. Another light list, guys. To Netflix and Amazon Prime, there's not much coming there. Hulu's getting Dirty Grandpa, the regular and unrated version.
Ooh.
HBO Max is getting Malignant, The Hangover Part 3, and Reminiscence, 2 of which we've reviewed on this podcast.
Certainly have.
So I think.
Do
those
you
are good.
guys? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Adam.
No, you're good. You're good. That's all I was
Let's
saying.
say, do you guys label the original Hangover movie a classic? Like, is that a classic to you all?
I think at this point it is, right?
I have not seen it in years. I can't imagine it's
Yeah.
aged well. It was
not
at
for
the
me.
time. Like, if you'd asked me at the time, would like Step Brothers or Hangover have more long-term lasting effect, I would have probably picked Hangover, but I think it's definitely the opposite nowadays.
Yeah,
Facts.
Yeah.
I think I'd agree with both of you guys. I was just curious because, to your point, when that thing first came out, yeah, it was a gem, as they would say. But
Yeah.
I haven't watched that in forever. Opposed to, like, I don't know, I watched Step Brothers like super bad. That stuff I can put on, I don't know, every 2 years or something,
Sure,
and it's still funny. you
Yeah.
know?
I think it maybe has something to do with the people in the film. Because the only one from the
Mm.
Hangover cast that's like still super, super relevant is Bradley Cooper. Obviously, you'll
Right.
still see Ken Jeong, you'll still see Zach Galifianakis, you'll still see Ed Helms, but they're not like the breakout stars or like A-list
For sure.
celebrities like a Will Ferrell or what's that other dude's name? I always forget.
John C. Reilly.
John C. Riley.
Yeah, John C. Reilly. It's not one of those two.
Yeah.
So I mean, those guys are up there, and obviously people know them really well. So I think that's probably why they maybe have more staying power. And as far as like a comedy movie goes, because I think the rest of that Hangover cast kind of just fell off.
I think that's a good.
Yeah,
call.
I'm with you. Good point, Adam.
Could be part of it. Could be part of it. And then to Disney Plus, we're getting The Book of Boba Fett episode 5, which I'm sure Tyler Verdalis has been keeping up with. Would you like to tell us about it? Because I still have not caught up.
Well, last week we talked about 3 and 4, and
that's
5
right.
doesn't come out until tomorrow, so
Okay, so we have nothing to talk about this week.
we do not.
I apologize.
I was
Well, what have you
confused
been
there for a
watching?
second. I could not.
Well, I just assumed we had another episode
No,
because it was the next week, and I again forgot that we just recorded.
Yeah, that
So,
really threw me off there for a second. I was like, where did my last Wednesday go?
well, what else have you been watching then, Ty? Since Thursday night.
Hey, I'll go into it. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, man. Let it rip.
So first and foremost, I watched some sad football games,
Oh boy.
and
Bad for you.
that kind of deterred me away from pretty much anything for a couple of days. I was fairly upset, as you can imagine. So, but I did also get around to 300 this afternoon, so that was a
Oh.
throwback.
Yeah. Have you
Because
seen that one,
I'm-
Adam?
Yes.
Okay.
Good, I was
Took me a
going to
while
lose
to
my
get
mind.
around to watching that one, but I have seen it.
I still think it's great. I think it's probably lost a little bit of its luster, if you will, but overall, I still think it's a good movie. You know, when it first came out, it was like every guy who's everyone's got to see this fucking movie.
The
manliest movie of all time.
Yeah, and you know, it's like when you talk to your buddies that saw it before you, I'm like, "Oh, bro, I'm more man than you. If you haven't seen it, your balls haven't dropped." And I'm like, "Sure, dude."
It's a
But
it's a Monster
ahead.
Energy drink of a movie, isn't it?
yeah,
In
facts.
some ways.
It's great when you're up, but you know, when it wears off, it wears off. So, but yeah, so I got around to that. I also got around to Injustice, the animated movie, which is on HBO. So that is always fun. And then I got around to a lot of YouTube this week too. One of my Pokemon streamers that I watch, I guess I wouldn't even call them streamers because they don't stream. They just kind of YouTube. But I guess I don't know. They're YouTubers. But one of them actually streams a live like booster box opening of like old cards every single Tuesday at like 5 o'clock. So I've been tuning into those, and they usually take about 2 hours for him to rip through 36 packs. But they're cool. I just like looking at the throwback stuff, like all the old stuff. And these boxes like go for thousands of dollars. And then basically what happens is you go on his website, you buy the packs from him, and then he opens your packs on live stream, and then he sends you your cards.
Right.
So, and most of those packs go for $400 or $500 a pack.
That's
and he's got 36 of them in there.
That's so nutty.
It's wild. And then, as you guys might know, Ozark came back.
Yes, sir. I haven't watched any of it yet. How's it going?
It's good. Leah and I are on number four.
Was that a drop
So-
all at once or week to week?
All at once.
All at once.
Yeah. I don't think Netflix has ever done a week to week kind of deal.
Not in the States. I know in some places, like if a show is week to week and they carry it, they'll have it week to week there. But I don't think so here at least.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. So yeah, other than that, that's all I got around to. But Ozark is really good so far. I'm kind of nervous on a episode to episode basis because I don't know what's gonna happen, and like this is the end, so like you really don't know when shit's gonna hit the fan. So we're just kind of waiting.
They have the second half of the season coming out later.
Yeah, I think they're gonna try and like basically just cliffhanger you after this, and then let everything just go to fucking shit at the end of it. So, but yeah, that's all I got around to. Blake, why don't you go?
Yeah, I'll follow up. I didn't watch too much this week. Rewatched The Last Duel, as obviously that's kind of what we had on the docket, and I caught that in theaters. And I don't know, was I the first to see this out of us in theaters? I know Nathaniel caught it, right? In theaters too.
Yeah, you might have been right before me, maybe. I'm not sure. I didn't get around to it. I can't remember even, actually. But yeah, I saw it in theaters.
I
But
think it was in the summer.
Yeah, I think you saw it before I did.
Yeah. So I ended up rewatching that on HBO Max. And then I logged in to Waz's Voodoo. Shout out Waz, as my Voodoo's mainly horror movies. I've been meaning to get back to watch Interstellar I've been saying that honestly, no bullshit, probably like 7 months of like, oh, I should probably go back and watch Interstellar. And I just never got to rewatching it. I never bought it on my own Voodoo. I had to always say it, and just like I end up passing it by. Ended up talking to Waz at the store maybe 2 months ago. And he said, "Yeah, I got it." And he gave me his Voodoo. And then finally I logged in. So I shot him a text like, "Hey, just to let you know, I logged into your Voodoo to rewatch Interstellar." So I did that. And that movie's awesome. Self-explanatory, right? That's Nolan. So I mean, as anybody who knows, also has Matt Damon in it as well. He's in What We're Doing Today as The Last Duel. Matthew McConaughey?
Yep.
Is that who that is? Right? Yeah. And what's her name? I'm already lost her name. Anne Hathaway. Yeah. So yeah, that's the first time I saw that since it came out, and I don't think I saw it in theaters. I think I caught it around the time it came out, though. Right? So I watched it at home. So about 7 years or so. So yeah, that's great, man. That was pretty much like a rewatch to me. Really long though. That's the only thing. That shit was like 2 hours and 40 something minutes.
It is,
And I
long,
feel like,
though.
yeah, it's one of those. It took me 2 times to finish it. Like I made the rookie mistake of starting it at like 10:30 p.m. and it just wasn't gonna happen on a work day, you know.
Yeah.
So finished it the next day. But yeah, that's awesome, man. The score is great. The visuals look good. That may be my favorite Nolan movie after rewatching that. Possibly.
I might have to do the rewatch as well then.
Possibly, dude. It's good, man. It touches on like family dynamics, a father-daughter relationship, just a lot of shit that's just, you know what I mean? That's very relatable to most people, that you don't get a lot from that. You don't get a lot of that stuff from Nolan. And the tension is there obviously as well. And then there's some scenes that are top notch on there. And it's yeah, overall good. Tied it in together really well, and yeah, I would put it up there as probably my favorite Nolan film. That'd be my final statement. So that's all I got to. Go ahead.
Oh, I just said I love that movie.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. So question for you guys would be, I mean, what are your guys' favorite Nolan films? I'm sure we've maybe touched on this conversation briefly on pod, but give me your top 2. How about that?
I think Interstellar's up there for me, probably. You always forget the Dark Knight trilogy, so probably like maybe Dark Knight and Interstellar, but I don't know. I really liked Dunkirk last time we watched it for the podcast, so I don't know. I'd have to think about that again.
Yeah.
A little deeper. Ty?
Yeah, I was kind of I really like the Batmans, but there hasn't been a formidable Batman like trilogy until we get our Pats. And so it's really kind of hard to judge anything up against that. So like I really like the Dark Knight, but I don't know, he's like Interstellar, like you said, is fucking insane. And
True.
like one of the first times I watched that movie, I like lost my mind. And then you got Inception, which is, fucking insane. I remember when I saw that for the first time, and then every time after that, it still just kind of like blows my mind.
Hard to undersell that one, yeah.
Yeah, so, and you have things like Tenet, which are just so, no, I'm just playing.
Well, you do have like Memento. I think some people would definitely shout Memento on there for sure.
But yeah, I would definitely have to put Interstellar up there, and I would have to put Inception up there. I don't know. I guess I'd have to take a look into some other ones that aren't coming off the top of my head right now. But and then I would say Dark Knight Rises is like an honorable mention.
Yeah,
I think other than Insomnia and maybe like his first one, which I think is called Following. I think that's mostly it. We covered most of them. Adam, you got a favorite Nolan?
Probably the Dark Knight. I probably just have to go with that one.
Fair.
That one, it's just so good. And I mean, if you don't want to qualify that because it's a superhero movie and it's a little bit different, I would say his like anything but that one is probably either Dunkirk or Inception. I have to rewatch Interstellar because I haven't seen it since I saw it in theaters. That's one I've been wanting to go back to, but from what I remember liking Dunkirk and Inception more. Maybe Dunkirk. It honestly might be Dunkirk. It's not Tenet, that's for sure. That one will be crossed off the list.
right.
So, but yeah, I think upon a rewatch of Interstellar, and also I have to go back and watch Prestige and Memento.
Prestige, that's the other one.
Of those. Yeah, Prestige. So I have to watch both of those.
Prestige
before
a
I can
banger.
give like a definitive answer. But of the ones I have seen, definitely Dunkirk or Inception.
I got at least one friend will be mad at me for forgetting Prestige.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So yeah, that's it, fellas. Just curious, but yeah, that's all I got to Interstellar, the Last Duel. So light week. What about you, Adam?
Honestly, since we last recorded, I was able to slide in. I just had stuff on the background for the most part. But I was able to get through both the first season of Euphoria and the first season of Righteous Gemstones. Again, kept them more on in the background because I've seen both of them before. But I was able to get through both the first seasons of them because I wanted to rewatch them for the second seasons that are both, airing right now. And the note of Euphoria, I do kind of want to retract slightly something I said on last week's episode where I talked about the one take shots that they kept doing. Maybe it's just because I haven't rewatched Euphoria since I have since I have started taking more film classes and learning more about filmmaking. But they do a lot of those same shots in the first season. that I was talking about in the second season. I would say though, I need to rewatch those first 2 episodes, but it does feel like they are leaning on it a lot more in the second season still. And also in the first season, I noticed that they were doing it a lot with time jumps. So they would have cuts in these like one takes, and I did air quotes, even though you guys can't see them, the one takes, but they would you can tell where they cut, and they're kind of similar to like how they would do a 1917 or something like that. So
Sure.
they'll find places to cut in. But when they would cut, they would a character would then be revealed in a different location. So small time jumps, stuff like that. I've noticed they do a lot of those. But in the second season, it is straight up in real time, one take going through, and that kind of thing. And they do it felt like more. So I'm gonna retract a little bit of how much I disliked that kind of thing that they were doing. But again, it is still a little much. And then Righteous Gemstones, still really funny. It's still really good. I hadn't seen that since it aired, so it was kind of like rewatching it for the first time again, almost. Again, I've seen it before, but it was funny seeing all the characters I kind of forgot about. I forgot about Keith a little bit. Forgot about
Keith's
BJ.
so funny.
And so when they both came back, I was like, oh, man, these characters are great. So I'm excited to watch the second season, see where that goes. But yeah, that was basically it besides the Last Duel. So I think, Nathaniel, you don't often round us out here, but go ahead and do so.
Yeah, what up? I had a pretty short list this week too. I watched some Adventure Time, as I kind of alluded to earlier. We just got to a bit in it that was like called the Stakes storyline, but it's basically like a large plot revolving around the character Marceline, the Vampire Queen, and it was really good. And yeah, it would have been really cool to see the show as I was kind of like growing up with it for sure, but really cool to see it now and kind of see the shape of it and everything. So definitely a fun series. And then
Is that like the part where she's like into stuff with her dad?
No, it's her and Finn and Jake and Princess Bubblegum as they like search out her the kind of story around her vampire powers, all the kind of like how she can float and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, really cool. And then the other thing I've been getting to is The Wire, which I brought up a little bit last week, but I've been texting Blake kind of as I've been going through it. And Blake, I fucked up earlier, actually.
What happened?
I text you after episode 10 thinking that was the end of the season, but it actually goes to episode 13 is still the first season. So I had 3 more episodes to go, but I am now done with it overall. So yeah, first season of The Wire complete.
Okay. And can we, I don't know, can we do like a spoiler thing? Just because I don't really recall where episode 1 ends. You know what I mean? Can you kind of...
Yeah, hold on.
Because you sent me a text like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? So I think I have an idea of where it was, but I don't exactly remember.
All right, hold on. I'll spoiler sound real quick. Spoilers for The Wire, episode 10 through 13 real quick. Oh, I have to turn on the spoiler sound. There it was in the background faintly. Did you hear it?
Gotcha.
So episode I texted you after Kima got shot. So it was episode 10, and I was like, holy crap, that was an insane place to end your season on, because it's just like a huge cliffhanger. And then I started episode 11, and it starts up right where that took off. And so I text you again. I was like, man, season 2 just like picks up right away. It's so crazy that they decided to do all this, and it was still the same season.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, so
that's where you're confused at.
Yeah. But my point still stands. The episode finale or the season finale was really, really cool. So that was where they had like Stringer's kind of taking over, it seems like a little bit, and Avon's like getting sent up for a little bit of time right now, and the lawyer the D just like flipped back to working with the shady lawyer, and they're sending him up for 20 years. So it's it's a really, really good show. Definitely get on it. Blake and I have talked about it before. He's definitely talked about it a little bit more, but just the character work on it is really, really, really good. And I'm excited to see where season 2 goes. It's nice to have like a show right now.
Yeah. I'm glad you like it, man.
But yeah, other than that, that was pretty much it for me this week.
Yeah,
Nice.
small week.
I'm
We're
assuming you
fucking
also
flying.
watched
Certainly.
The Last Duel. Well, I mean, it was. I knew this was gonna happen. So hoping it
Yeah.
would happen because we only recorded a few days ago, right? Do you want to take a pause where we can like banter for a little second, or is this too fast for you, Ty?
No.
I'm just kidding. Welcome, listeners, to the main review segment of the podcast. Nathaniel, if they're new here, or maybe they've just forgotten, can you give them a rundown of how a review segment works?
Hello, folks. If you're new here, or maybe you've just forgotten, welcome to the main review segment. The way this works here at Back Row Banter is it is split up into two sections. There's the non-spoiler section, and then there's the spoiler section. It's pretty self-explanatory. In the non-spoiler section, we'll go over our kind of initial thoughts about the movie, get into its IMDb page, who's into it, what year it came out, all that good stuff. We'll go around the kind of quadrant here, give our initial opinions, what we were kind of feeling at the start of it, go into anything that we can that's non-spoilery, and then in the spoiler section, we'll go full spoilery. I'll play the spoiler sound so you know where to stop if you don't want to be spoiled, but do come back because we will see where it ranks up on our Entropy list, which is our big list of everything ranked. And from then on, you'll be out of the spoilers and can listen to the rest of the podcast. Yeah, Adam, take it away. Tell me about The Last Duel, a recent edition.
Yeah, it came out last year, 2021. Rated R with a runtime of 2 hours and 32 minutes and an IMDb rating of 7.4 out of 10. 7.4, pretty solid.
Yeah.
Directing is Ridley Scott, written by Nicole Holofcener.
I don't know on that one either.
Yeah, it's a tough one. She has also written nothing I've really heard of, to be honest.
She's a writer-director.
Yeah, writer-director. She's directed a few episodes of Parks and Rec, a few other comedy shows, it looks like Orange is the New Black, that kind of stuff. And then Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, this is the first film they've written together since Good Will Hunting, all the way back in, what was that, 98? Before then? Earlier? Sometime in the 90s, right?
Yeah. And they're good friends, right? That's kind of what I
believe
was
so. Yeah.
doing some research on. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
Interesting.
Starring the aforementioned Matt Damon, along with Adam Driver, Jodie Comer, Harriet Walter, Ben Affleck, and Alex Lothar. I think that's where I'm going to end the list. There's not many more on top of that. You only have a few main characters, and it's just 3 hours of a lot of them. So, yeah, the IMDb summary reads as follows. King Charles VI declares that Knight Jean de Carouge settle his dispute with his squire by challenging him to a duel.
Yeah, yes, but also no.
There's a lot more to that. It's a 2.5 hour movie.
It is.
So I'd hope there'd be more. To fill in the gaps, I guess, a little bit. Matt Damon, also known as Jean de Carouge, he has beef with Adam Driver's character. What's his character's name? Legree, right? Something Legree.
That is correct.
Jacques
Jacques.
Legree. He's got some beef because, well, it is revealed. I'm gonna say because it's in the trailer and it's also not too far in the movie. Matt Damon's wife accuses Adam Driver of assaulting her, basically. And so that is kind of the duel. That is the reason for the duel. But the movie itself takes place from each of their perspectives, kind of showing how they saw the events unfold, and then you're kind of set to make your own conclusion to a certain extent, I would say. But the film certainly has its own conclusion, as you'll see in the... Well, you can kind of guess. There's a duel. There's a duel, guys.
The titular duel.
Yeah, there's a duel. I mean, there is a duel. It's in the name, so I would hope there is. But yeah. Yeah, I don't want to say too much more. I mean, this is not some super deep, complex story. It is more a story that's highlighted in the way it's told, I would say, or unique in the way that it's told. But what are you guys thinking here? This is 7.4 on IMDb, so pretty good, user score or general score. but also had definitely some like mixed reviews when it came out. Some people saying it was really good, some people saying it's not even worth seeing, that kind of thing. Where you guys landed?
Well, I saw
I'll
it
kick
in
it
theaters,
off.
actually.
Go ahead.
Nope, I'm going to defer to you, Blake. You saw it first.
Yeah, I think I just kind of wanted to see something at theaters with one of my homies, and this was something we saw on there on the docket, and obviously it's got a good cast between Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Jodie Comer. I wasn't really aware of. Obviously, I'm not a Star Wars guy, so I only know Adam Driver from the Black Klansman. Um,
Ah,
so I was like, oh yeah, this
that's a good
looks
place
good
to
to
go.
me. Yeah, for sure. And obviously Ridley Scott too. So I saw it, and yeah, it's I like it, man. I mean, it didn't do too good at the box office, but I can understand why, because it's not part of a mega franchise and have fucking 9 movies attached to it.
True.
But as far as going to the movie theater and seeing a good movie, I mean, I walked in, there was 2 older couples, look like they were probably in their 60s or 70s, and that's how you know you're about to watch a pretty good movie. So yeah, it was good, man. I like it. I wouldn't say pleasantly surprised, because I assumed it would be good, being an original idea. And the only thing I would say that kind of caught me off guard is that how gruesome it is. Like towards the end, I mean, the duel is definitely a little different than how the beginning of the movie plays out. You know what I mean? If you
For
catch my
sure.
drift there, but yeah, I like it though. I would 100% recommend this movie. There is kind of a content warning though, or I don't know, trigger warning, I guess is the word for it, because there's a lot of like rape and sexual assault and things of that nature that you have to watch several times. So I mean, it is a tough watch, but a very good film, and it kind of portrays like women's rights and integrity and things of that nature. So I would recommend it. Nathaniel?
Yeah, I'm always interested in whenever Ridley Scott is directing. He's definitely, I think, one of his generation's, kind of great weirdo oddball directors. He's kind of notoriously as good as his script. He's, I think, in this one, he's pretty lucky. You know, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon both know how to write, and Nicole Hall, I've seen her. I think, who knows? I'm taking a shot at that name. I think her writing background definitely comes through this as well. I know there was a lot of kind of care put into making sure that the screenplay was kind of as even-handed as they could make it, and as tight as they could make it. And I think that comes through for sure. Pretty good performances all around from your main leads. I do want to shout out Harriet Walter. She's been killing it lately as one of the moms on Ted Lasso, and also the mom on Succession, and in this as well too. So I've been seeing a lot of her recently, but she's really, really great. And yeah, I would definitely recommend this one for sure. I mean, it's definitely a movie I think you feel the length a little bit, for sure. So you definitely want to, clear out, I think, as we've been referencing, about 2.5 hours worth of time to give this one a go. But yeah, to be honest with you, this is a movie that surprised me a little bit. There's been a couple different people who I didn't necessarily expect to enjoy this movie, but have kind of like come up, of their own volition, talk to me at like work or stuff like that. They're like, oh yeah, I saw that movie. It was really, really good. So I think this is one that seems to play to more people than maybe they were anticipating when it was originally released, or kind of like its box office may demonstrate. But definitely recommend.
Ty?
Yeah, I would have to agree. Obviously, it's a little hard to hit on different points, but overall, like you guys said, acting was really good. I think usually when you get this kind of cast, you can kind of expect a little bit more. So I'm glad they at least performed up to par, if not a little bit more in some cases, because it is dangerous when you get this heavy of a hitter cast, and it could be a big miss. But I don't think the box office numbers have anything to speak for that. Like we've been saying, COVID knocks a lot of things out, and when you put something in the box office like that, it's a little hard. So I think they've definitely gotten more views since it's been on HBO for sure. So, but other than that, I mean, I really like the acting overall. I like the fact that Matt and Ben obviously wrote this together. Like Adam said, it's been since Good Will Hunting, which is a classic. But Action was good. I didn't think anything was too far fetched. I thought everything was pretty in line. We'll talk about it a little bit more, but I kind of like how there was a lot more of like you can kind of see the progression of like a court happening, and like a trial and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool to see. But overall, yeah, I'm a recommend.
Adam Driver fits in suspiciously well with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon too. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Adam. I just want to sneak that in.
No, I 100%. No, it's a great point. Something I was going to say, and I 100% agree. I would say from hearing you guys talk, I'm definitely the lowest on this movie. I did not really enjoy my time. I thought the writing felt awkward, direct, and not good. I mean, I don't know. The writing to me was not on par. It just felt like a lot of the lines were just kind of like, oh, this is what's happening. It's just like it almost felt like some of the characters were narrating what was going on at some points in time. The acting is good. I just don't agree with how they're deciding to play this. This to me, if it is based on a true story, if they're trying to make this some kind of historical thing, does not feel like a historical recreation at all. I mean, these people are very casual. This feels like this movie could have taken place in modern day almost, and just in different ways. Like as far as like the plot goes, I'm saying it felt more like casual, and like how the characters act and everything, and the events that go on. And there's several talks of like the media or not the media, sorry, the public and all that stuff, and that's just not how it was back then at all. Like there wasn't really a public. The word didn't get around the way that they pretended it did in this time. And so for me, looking at it from like that kind of perspective, like it would be one thing if this was like some kind of original story, or they're trying to if it was like a Knight's Tale where they're trying to be a little bit more whimsical or change up the medieval style of it. But if this is supposed to be a historical recreation, that did not do it at all for me, and it was kind of distracting how much it was just missing that. So for me, I didn't enjoy it a ton. It's not bad, I don't think, but I didn't love it. I do like Adam Driver. I think is the highlight for me, as well as what's that actress's name? Jodie Comer. Both of them, I think for me steal this. Ben Affleck isn't in it enough for me to like say he did really well, but I do like every scene he is. Matt Damon is the one where I love Matt Damon, but in I'm going to talk a little bit more about it, I think, in spoilers. He did not feel right in this movie. I don't know why. Specifically, and again, I want to talk a little bit more about it in spoilers, but he to me felt out of place. And it just that was taking me out of it too. But the action's great. I will say that. It's very visceral. I would say it's well directed. The directing by Ridley Scott, I didn't have any issue with. I liked all that kind of stuff. But there were some things that just in general, as I'm watching this, that I just really did not enjoy for the most part. It does some cool, unique things, but I don't know if I'm a recommend. I would probably say no. If I had to give my binary answer, I'd probably go with no.
That's interesting. I wouldn't expect that from you on a film like this.
I wouldn't have expected it from me either. I'm usually into these kind of films, but I think the fact that it isn't, like I mentioned earlier, the fact that it isn't like a lot of the other films of its kind is maybe throwing me off a little bit. It just doesn't feel like it's in the right place. It feels like a medieval reskinning of like a movie that took place in the 60s or something like that. Like I don't know kind of how to describe it. Yeah, I would say I'm probably not a recommend on this one.
All right.
All right,
Fair
so
enough.
that's
There you have it.
That's 3 recommends and 1 no from the squadron here, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and head on in to spoilers here. So if you have not seen The Last Duel and do not want it spoiled for you, go ahead and check the episode description where it is linked, where I've left a timestamp you can jump to, where you'll be taken to the ranking of the movie up upon the entry list.
Spoilers.
Yeah, I was about to say, did you play the spoiler sound? Sometimes I can't hear it, so I wasn't sure. But
I never hear it.
Yeah, I barely hear it. So then I just looked at Nathaniel, and he was like, I saw him playing around, so it's like, I don't know when he's gonna play it, and I was just gonna assume he was gonna say shit goes down, and I'd go off that, and then he didn't say it, and I was like, okay, what's going on?
I played it. But shit does go down.
Well, huh?
I actually would well, overall I like the way that everything kind of played out. There were obviously, some things that you just can tell that they didn't quite understand back then. And it's cool to see that progression. People having, different ideas, and obviously Jodie Comer's character, basically fighting for her rights as a woman, and people are like, uh did you enjoy yourself? Like, did you have pleasure when you were being allegedly raped? And she's like, no. And they're like, well, then how are you pregnant? It's science. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, right.
But you can tell that that's just that's the difference, and obviously where we've come from, and how things were back then, and it's wild to see. But it's cool that you can kind of see a trial system happening, and it's clearly unfair and terrible, but it's a progression, and it's happening, and I thought that was pretty cool. And I actually do like how you kind of see from everyone's point of view who's involved, and I actually kind of like the writing aspect of that from the point of view where the person that is not like the main character of that point of view isn't really doing a whole lot of talking. You're kind of seeing less dialogue from them, but obviously in their point of view, they're like, well, no, I actually had like this much more dialogue. And so it's cool because you kind of get to see their own points of view and everything like that. And you get to kind of see how they think they interact with people and how other people see them interact with other people. And it's pretty cool from that standpoint, in my opinion, just because you would actually be surprised if you astral planed your non-physical being out of your body and saw how you interacted with people. It's probably a little bit different, or probably a lot different from what you actually think that you interact with people. And I thought that was pretty cool.
For sure.
Yeah, like how many times have
Yeah.
we listened back to the podcast and been like, man, I did not realize that I said that or that came off that way or something like that. Like,
I'm a fucking idiot.
yeah, like we get a little taste of it just with this. I can't imagine what it would be like if it was like the most important moment of my life or something like that. There's something else.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Ty. I liked how they told the story. I think that definitely is the part that stands out the most to me, because you do kind of get. It's weird because it's not like, I feel like another movie like this could do it where they kind of retell it for like the court, and like that's kind of the gist that you're getting here is like, this is kind of how they're retelling the events, but it's also not necessarily retelling it from the court, but it feels like this is actually like how each character experienced those events. It's not necessarily how it's retold, but it's like how the characters saw each event, which I thought was interesting. It's not,
Yeah.
it's cool to kind of see how something a character said is similar to something another character said, but they hear it in two different ways. The Matt Damon approaching Pierre about his captaincy, I think, is the
Yeah,
thing
it
that
sticks
stands
out.
the most. Yeah,
Mhm.
where he goes and in Matt Damon's version, he's very respectful, cordial. He goes, all that stuff, and then you don't really have his speech finished, and then it just cuts to him saying about how respectful and noble and honest he was or whatever to his wife, and then you kind of see Legree's perspective from it, and you probably realize that it's somewhere in the middle of those two. That
It was like a little baby.
yeah, exactly. It's a little bitch. And so I do, and the other thing I like about that I like is you kind of have to piece your own version of what actually happened in between all of these characters, because obviously what Legree sees and what Matt Damon sees are very different, but it's not one or the other is true. It's somewhere in between is probably actually true. So you can kind of piece together your own version of the story by looking at what each three of these characters present you as far as how they perceive the events, and then in between all those three, kind of in like a Venn diagram almost. In that middle is where you can kind of piece together what like the actual story was.
Well, yeah, but do you? Because like, I mean, her point of view is labeled as chapter 3, and then it's underlined as the truth. And so, like, I feel like the film that's like a very interesting statement for the film to make. You know?
If I'm being honest, I 100% missed the fact that they called her chapter the truth. I must have missed her title frame.
Mm.
I just assumed that it said the truth according to her, but I probably yeah, that's probably a big piece I kind of missed out on. But regardless, I still think it's somewhat in between all those stories. Probably and as I'm watching the third act, I do think it probably leans closer to hers than any of them. But
Right.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, this movie is like the age old like saying of like, right, there's like your opinion, the other person's opinion, then what really happened. Like, you know what I mean? And like that's the reality of this. And I
sure.
think where Nathaniel says this thing can drag on a little bit, and I think it's when you end up seeing you have to see everybody's perspective on the same shit. And like that's the only thing where I'm like, all right, this is pretty fucking long. Where like once you finally realize that's what they're about to do, and
Yeah.
you're like, holy shit, I gotta sit through 3 of these. And though although each one is interesting, right? Because it has its own changes and variables and dialogue switches a little bit. People's facial expressions change when they're saying certain words. So you can take it in another way. That stuff is interesting, but it was rough to sit and rewatch that stuff, let alone the like a sexual assault rape scene. I mean, like I don't think anyone wants to watch that 3 times, to be quite honest with you.
Right.
So like that's one thing I was like, they probably could have left that shit out multiple times. But it did bring some development to the story a little bit. But yeah, that's something they definitely could have narrowed down on putting that in there multiple times for sure.
Yeah, I'm interested still that Adam, you had such a severe kind of reaction to it. Was it just that like was it the dialogue you felt like was like too modern?
Definitely a little bit. I mean, again, it just a lot of the lines just felt like characters they didn't know how to write medieval in an eloquent way, and so they kind of made it too straightforward in some ways, and it just felt like some characters were just narrating what was happening, or like it almost felt like the uh lines in a screenplay where it goes like telling you what's happening on screen and like describing it.
The
It
set
almost felt like some of the
direction?
lines being spoken. What'd you say?
The set direction, you mean?
Sure. I don't know what those lines are specifically called in like a screenplay.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it just some of the lines the characters spoke felt like that. I was like, this just felt very awkward, unnatural to me.
Did you listen to it in the audio description version by accident? You
No,
know, for like
definitely
the
not. No,
like,
no, I'm not that stupid. No.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that, but it would explain why all the random action on screen was described. But yeah, I didn't have that
it wasn't
reaction.
no, it wasn't. I'm talking about the actual character. I didn't have anything reading anything out to me.
Okay, fair enough.
I didn't have anything reading out to me. I don't know. I didn't think it was all that well written. Again, I think the level to which they did not adjust for the times. I mean, I don't think the courts. I did have to look it up. Courts started to come around this time, but I don't think you could just sue people for anything you wanted to like that.
You don't think you could do that back then?
This was
I
feudal
think you could,
times.
dude.
This was late 1300s. This is almost this is right before or almost during I think the Black Plague was.
They
I think
mentioned
it
that the
was.
plague had killed off some of the
Is
people
that what it
in
is?
the fields.
Yeah, 1346 to 1353 is the general area. So yeah, shortly after the Black Plague. But I mean, these are still feudal times. These and meaning the lands in Europe were separated into smaller kingdoms than fiefs, basically, and so they have the structure accurate, basically, of how the land was divided. But this was very early on for how the court systems were starting to come up in like feudal Europe. So it just that was annoying to me how much they talked about suing. I was like, I really don't think this is as big of a thing as they're making it. Back then, I think it would be more of like the dueling kind of style that they eventually get to, obviously. But that was kind of off to me.
Well, I think
Just the way.
that's kind of the thing, that this was the last legal duel.
Was that the whole thing?
Yeah, that this was the last duel that was
Okay,
that
sure.
was
Yeah, because if you recall, the king's like, you know, whoever advisor was like, no, it is actually still like legal here, and the king's like, oh, all right, well then fuck it.
right. And then there has been a series of duels, or like duels fought through history since then, but they have been quote unquote like illegal unless they were like in the States or something like that, or
Not authorized.
yeah.
Sure. Either way, that I don't know. This to me does not feel like that time at all. It did not do anything for me in that way. Like it does not feel like a historical retelling. Also, are we gonna talk about how just no one seems to care about an accent? Some people do, some people don't. Matt Damon could be American, he's not even trying. None of them are even like, I don't know. It bothered me. Maybe it doesn't bother anyone else, and that's totally fine. But for me, I just was watching this, kind of shaking my head a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know.
I hear you, man.
I actually didn't really pick up on it to be a whole bunch. I don't think for me when I was doing my watching that was something I guess I didn't really pay attention to.
Yeah, I think for me too, it wasn't too high on the list of things that stood out overall. Is that like your kind of big thing with Matt Damon? I know you referenced it earlier, that he was kind of like a big issue that you had with the movie. It just didn't feel like his accent was right on, or was it more just didn't feel he was right for the character?
That's what started it for me. Is the fact I was like, is he even trying with an accent? Like sometimes he's not speaking how he normally would, but then most of the time I hear it as he's American. So that was kind of annoying. But then I kept looking back at it and felt like in all three of the portrayals of his character, he just didn't fit into any of them. I don't know. For me, just he felt so out of place in that character, both as his version, as Legree's. And when he switched more to Legree's version, it felt a little bit closer. But especially in the first act, to me, he just felt so out of place playing that. It did not feel like he fit in the movie or in that role at all. And again, that could be a total personal thing. I love Matt Damon. He's not the type of person or type of actor where I'm going to try to nitpick every single thing he does. But for the most part, I just accept it. But in this one, he just did not fit that role, in my opinion. For me, at least, watching this, I was just like, this feels so out of place, so clunky. Again, could totally be a personal thing for me, but that's how I was feeling.
Sure.
Well, if it didn't work, it didn't work.
Yeah.
All right.
Sometimes it just don't work.
If you get
Blake, you got any like little add-ons there, or?
Not much that I don't. I mean, I would say the only thing where at first watch, when I first caught this, the only thing that kind of stood out to me, I was like, oh, that seems really weird. And I think it was just more of Ben Affleck with blonde hair. Like I just couldn't really process that myself.
It's not the. I realize it. It's not the hair. It's the goatee.
So
Yeah.
that was
Goatee
exactly
throws you
what
off.
Woz said as soon as he walked in. He was like, "Oh, Ben Affleck's goatee, I really hate." And then he's like, and then I looked up a picture of Ridley Scott and I understood. And I was like, it's an interesting point to draw there, sir.
Yeah, it's not the hair. It's the goatee.
Yeah, where
That's what
like
makes
I said,
it weird.
Yeah, I think you guys may be right. And like I said, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. And then my dad watched this maybe like 2 weeks ago. And he said the same thing. I walked downstairs when he was watching it, and he was just like, Ben Affleck looks weird as hell to me.
It's
You know what I mean? I was like, I think that's just something that everybody says when they watch this movie.
I think it's
so.
the dark
I
eyebrows.
liked his character though.
Oh, me too, for sure.
He's
such
like
a
just
fucking
like
scumbag.
yeah, and he's like a Legree's like rich buddy, and like Legree's kind of like, you know, from the wrong side of the tracks, but he got, you know, brought up the right way, and so he's like, come
Right.
on, fuck it, take your pants off, come on in here.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I think this is kind of a problem. He's like, nah, dude, come on, like we're rich, who gives a shit? Take your pants
Yeah,
off.
for sure.
Yeah.
So I like Ben Affleck fits perfectly into that role. So I was like, that works for me.
Yeah, I thought he was really scummy and interesting in that too. Yeah, and I like that like Adam Driver is just walks that line of like just totally self-justifying himself the whole time, and you do understand like, yeah, he's training to be the priest or whatever, but he's just a greaseball too. Like he's just as bad.
Fuck bag.
Yeah. And then Matt Damon's an idiot, but and an enraged idiot all the time. But it's just at least you can feel like you can like control him some, or you know what you get with him. But yeah, it's I don't know. I thought all the performances were really really well done, as we've kind of referenced. The three kind of shifting POVs I thought were really interesting. I do like that there are little details that you get in little differences between each version that kind of inform the story and inform your feelings on each of the characters. And then it ends gory and it ends abruptly and violently, and you're just kind of left there going, oh yeah, that's what it all amounts to. And then I think the king just kind of like fucks off basically. Have
you read the book, Nathaniel?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so I haven't either, and I kind of thought like at the end that I knew he was gonna win, because the whole time they were preaching, he was like, like God will, tell the truth, and whoever loses, that's who God thinks loses. And so I just coming from how religious they were back then, and how it was such blasphemy not to believe in God back then, that I knew that he was gonna win. And then he got that stab on his leg though, and that's like probably a femoral artery. Right. So I was like,
yeah,
he's toast.
And they shot it in a way to where like it was super dramatic on that one shot to the leg. So I'm like, I think he's gonna die.
Right.
I was like, I think he's gonna win, but I think he's gonna die. And then it kind of would leave you more on like a cliffhanger and be like, well, wait, maybe all the storytellings weren't what you thought they were.
Right.
But obviously they made a pretty good conclusion of it.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. So you were more just basing it off on the religious aspect.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, like I did, like I'm into like the Viking stuff, and the Vikings have their quarrels and qualms with the Englishmen when all that's kind of happening. So even when you play like the video games, there's a strong religious presence on that side of the field, we'll call it, to where you get like burned at the stake if you don't believe in God. So the fact that they were the fact that they were trying to have this trial process is why it intrigued me so much, because I knew most of the time they were just basically going off of religion. Like it didn't matter. There was no trial basis. It was just like, well, you did something wrong. God hates you. You're dead. You have to die. So that's kind of, like what I was basing it off of.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing though. I mean, while the last duel is going on, no pun intended, I mean, you're definitely rooting for Matt Damon's character. Like, just fucking kill that guy. Like, fuck Adam Driver.
But he's a dirtbag too. Like,
yeah, for sure.
That is, I don't know. I was a little bit more on the fence. I guess I was thinking that Adam Driver was probably gonna get it. Was gonna not make it, but I wasn't really sure. And then you're right. Time when they kind of had that thing at the end, but like there's something else I was gonna bring. Oh, like what did you guys? So, because I rewatched it for the podcast and everything. What did you think of the kid? Like, do you think there's any chance that's secretly Adam Driver's kid too? Because they are bringing up like how they haven't had children yet.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Because they were together for I don't know like how long they were together beforehand, before like the actual crime was committed, but they had obviously been having sex, and they don't, their whole thing back then was to procreate. Like you had to have an heir to your name, or you're just a male heir. Shit.
A male heir specifically, yeah.
Correct.
I can remember. Sorry, I'll tell that story after you finish your point.
So yeah, that's where it kind of clicked for me on that aspect.
I can remember reading stuff in college of like poems or like just stories from around that time. And you brought it up earlier when we were talking about the silence. I remember an anecdote of like some farmer or something like that saying that he'd had a daughter that was like too rambunctious and was like out playing in the fields and was running around and jumped over a creek. And when she landed on the other side, her vagina inverted itself into a penis and she became a man. And, like,
Wow.
and then it was the all of the running and male playing and then the jumping and the jolting that brought her interior penis out.
Turned into a man.
Yeah. So just
Crazy
to tell you
times,
where
dude.
science was at that time. But yeah.
Transitioning is way harder now.
It certainly is.
Those times were absolutely nuts. As kind of Ty
But
was
people
talking
had
about.
to be
As we all know, it's just like it's almost hysterical. Like I can't
Right?
believe like we even made it out of that.
But
And,
like
didn't just butcher everybody.
there had to be smart people too, right? Like it's just
There
how
had to
we
be, that's
are.
why-
Like, you
That's
know,
why we've progressed.
yeah, just figuring out like
There's
space.
I mean, you that's the cool part about Comer's character. You get to see the fact that she's kind of fighting for her women's rights, and like
Right.
you know that's an argument today on you can experience pleasure, male or female, if you're getting raped, and it's not your fault. It's not what you're feeling. It's because it's a biological thing that your body is supposed to happen. So it's cool that that argument got thrown into something as such an earlier period piece to be able to have that argument for women. And that's kind of the progression that you see. So whether it's male or female, there absolutely were smart people back then, because otherwise we wouldn't be where we are now.
True. Excuse me.
Always good to see another Nathaniel out there acting, you know. I think it's Nathaniel Parker. He plays Marguerite's dad. Shout out. He's also in the Haunted Mansion, the Eddie Murphy one. But you know, always good to see him out there. But that about wraps me up. I don't know. Do you guys have any
wrapped.
final thoughts?
We got to
No.
see Matt Damon punch a guy in the face to death. That was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
He was a brute.
That was brutal, yeah. Also, like, I would say I love the action that they did.
Very underrated.
Ridley
Yeah,
Scott's
and
always
I
good
think
for
that
that.
was way more appropriate to the time, where it was just like you are not dueling. It's not like Lord of the Rings, where it's kind of like, oh, you spot your arch opponent across the battlefield, make eye contact, you walk up and you guys have some epic sword fight. It was just brutality. It was just kill the other person before he kills you.
It's just a
however
meat
means
grinder.
whatever means necessary. Yeah. So I do like that they brought that approach to it, where it was just brutal. And then also in the first battle scene with Matt Damon, when he charges them at the bridge or at the river or whatever, and you just see like a fourth of the troops are left at
Yeah.
the campfire in the woods, and you're like, oh my god. Also, I bet it probably was back then. Yeah. So
I think last week we were talking about how far we get in a horror movie. I think in like a medieval battle movie, I'm toast in the battle scene too. I get it from behind and like a hammer to the back of the head or something.
Yeah.
I feel like I got good swordsmanship and I have good awareness.
Again,
watched a lot of Forge and Fire.
I'm gonna be thinking I'm safe. I'll like strategically place myself not on the front lines and not on the back lines. I'll be like, all right, everything's going good. I'll maybe like down one or two guys and then somewhere I don't even see, just something
An arrow.
stupid. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that one guy took an arrow to the face. A
Yeah.
flaming
True,
arrow.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. it
That's
sure
gotta be
wasn't.
terrible.
Speaking of medieval movies, you guys remember the movie Timeline?
No, I've never seen that.
Nope.
I'm pretty sure it's set around the 100 Years' War, which I think is also set around this too. But it's one where they like go back in time. It's written by the same guy that did Jurassic Park, and it's directed by the guy that directed the first Superman, Richard Donner, and it's got our boy Paul Walker. But I'll never forget. There's a bit at the end where they're having the big climactic battle, and it's like they're laying siege to a castle, and one side is shooting flaming arrows to the other, and then the other side returns with flaming arrows, and then the English guy in the castle just goes, night arrows. and they just shoot a bunch of arrows that aren't on fire, and everyone gets like taken out. And I was like, oh yeah, that would be a huge problem. Don't have your guys at arrow shot in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
But yeah, but now whenever I see
night arrows are just regular arrows.
Right. Now whenever I see flaming arrows in a movie, that's all I can think about. It's just they look awesome, but I guarantee they were not used as much as we think they are.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, definitely not.
But yeah, I think that's about it. You guys want to put her on the list?
Put her on the list.
That'll wrap it up. Let me mark down timestamps really quick before I start talking and writing at the same time, and then fumble my words, which often happens when I try to do this.
I just played the
back,
spoilers.
It's going to be an interesting one because we know Adam's going to have something drastically different than us.
Yeah, probably. I'll be honest, probably. We'll figure it out, though. Welcome back, listeners who skipped over the spoiler segment of the podcast. We're going to go ahead and rank The Last Duel upon the Entropy list. For those of you who do not know, the Entropy list is Back Row Banter's official list of every movie we have reviewed, regardless of genre, regardless of anything else, all on one fantastic list. If you'd like to reference the Entropy list for yourself, you can do so by checking out the episode description where it is linked to my Letterboxd.
38.
You're just throwing it out there, huh?
Yep.
38 below.
I'm trying to break up that 4 of horror movies right there, 37 through 40. And I definitely like this more than I like Last Night in Soho, but A Quiet Place, like you guys know, holds a special place in my heart.
Good
and
point.
I think this has what it takes to be up there. So I'm gonna throw a 38 in there. Get wrecked.
Okay.
I think I will go next, and I will go 41, right above Frozen, right below The Strangers. I'm going to keep my horror boys intact.
You son of a bitch.
That's how I do.
Okay.
I know where you live.
You certainly do.
I'll go third. I'm thinking.
He's still thinking, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. You know what? I'll go 39.
Split the difference?
All right.
Yeah. So I'll put it what is that? That's after Last Night in Soho.
Yeah, above
For
Halloween
2018.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. Adam? What are we looking at?
I'm also still
82.
Not quite that low. Not quite that low.
I bet he's gonna go somewhere in like the Godzilla Trick or Treat area.
You think I'm that low?
Yeah, because I mean,
Trick or Treat is so low, man.
Trick or Treat is really low. Thank you, Blake. I appreciate that, dog.
Yeah.
I didn't love
we
this movie
fumbled that one.
as much as you guys did.
Sure.
But I still didn't absolutely hate it. I know I wasn't a recommend, and I might put it above some movies I was a recommend on, but man, I'm having a tough time here.
Is it Blind Spotting that's throwing you off?
I was gonna say that's his gatekeeper.
It honestly really, really, really is.
I do feel Blind Spotting's got rough done by there. Blind Spotting Trick or Treat probably got a really good argument for being a little.
I can't put it below The Matrix Resurrections because I think this is still better than that.
For sure.
But it's a matter of how much higher do I put it. Fuck it. I'll do it at 54. I'll keep it right below my gatekeeper, Blind Spotting, and I'll put it right below Blind Spotting and above Ghostbusters Afterlife.
I like Ghostbusters.
So do I.
I had so much fun with that movie, bro.
Yeah.
I don't have the attachment you guys do.
Right.
That makes sense.
But after all of our votes are in here, our average comes out to 43, which is where we just put Scream.
Damn.
Wow.
We can tie.
Scream was like, did Scream reach a 7?
Yeah,
It
Wasn't it like a
was
7.2 or something like that?
7.2. Oh shit! Hang on. So is this one?
This is 7.4.
They're both. Oh wait, no, 7.4. All right. Well, Last Duel
Mm.
takes it then.
There it is.
All right.
You know what? We're
You're
too good at this, guys. We're tie breaking things that are very, very close like that. I think that's a good sign.
Shows the squad.
No, for sure. That means we know what we're talking about.
The squad knows.
Yeah, collectively. All right. Well, then that'll land The Last Duel at number 43, below The Conjuring 2, and above Scream. Also, really quick, shout out to The Last Duel's movie poster, which is pretty cool. It's two swords.
I'm a
with,
big
like,
fan.
The cutout. Yeah, I like it as well. I always love that good use of negative space.
Mm.
Anyway, listeners,
Oh, yeah,
that's
that's
our
lit.
review of The Last Duel. Next week's review is going to be 9 Days, another 2021 film. One me and Blake are both very high on, and I'm very excited to do this review. And I'm very excited to rewatch this movie because it's one I've wanted to rewatch since the second I left the theater and I saw it the first time. So can't wait to give this a watch. Go ahead and give it a watch on your own. It is currently streaming. I believe it's definitely on VOD.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't know if
know
it's streaming
if
anywhere
it's
though. You might have to
streaming
rent it
anywhere else. You might have to do
or
a good old
purchase
$3 or $4 rent. It is almost definitely worth a purchase. I mean,
for
I
sure.
can almost guarantee that. Yeah, you got like $5. It looks like on Vudu, $6 maybe on Apple TV, depending if you want the 4K or not. You got options, guys. You got options. So go ahead, find 9 Days out there in the renting or buying landscape, and join us next week for our review. It is definitely worth renting. I guarantee it. I promise you that. And if you don't, you know what? Maybe email in and maybe I'll pay for your rental if you don't like it, because it's a very good film. Can't wait. What else we got here, guys? 5-star review.
We certainly do.
Animal.
5-star
we got
review.
those banked.
Yes, sir. And we need new ones. Keep them coming, folks. If you give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast, we will read it out here on the pod. Can be anything you want. Can be mean. Can be funny. Can be nice. Can be whatever you want. Just don't be evil. And we'll read it out here. You can say anything you want. Just has to be 5 stars. This week we got one from A Silva 02, who says Back Row Banter, 5 stars. Obviously, Back Row Banter keeps up to date with the hottest movies out, just like The Last Duel came out 4 weeks ago. They provide a great conversation, and I'm wishing them the best in their future podcasts. Thanks, Silva. Wish you the best too. That's it, folks. It could be as simple as that. And yeah, we'll read it out for you. So keep them coming.
Cool. All right. I guess it's time to get to the plugs here, guys. Please share the podcast. Share it with a friend, family member. Maybe a arch nemesis of yours who is going after your wife.
If you must
in some
demand
nefarious
satisfaction.
methods. Yeah, and then if he says, I'm not listening to that podcast, challenge him to a duel. Sue his ass, get it to the high court, get in that fucking ring, and get to a medieval times, and just go at it.
Excuse me, sir. We
But
need
let
to
us
use
know.
this medieval times. We have a duel to commence.
Yeah, we have a duel.
Can you imagine the court just like saying, we found one location that'll work.
So yeah, please share. We need to grow. We'd love to grow. We cannot do so without your help. Excuse me while I muted my mic and coughed.
Station identification.
Follow the show. Yeah, and you guys can't even see me like mute my mic because I have no camera on today.
You're a mystery man.
I could be doing anything. I could be naked, as Tyler said earlier.
Bit of sizzle.
Bit of sizzle. On Twitter, you can find us at Banter Row. On Instagram, we're at Back Row Banter Pod, and YouTube, we're just Back Row Banter. And then our email for any questions, comments, concerns, grievances, anything of that sort is backrowbanterpod@gmail.com. BlakeHolder, where can the people find you at, my man?
Letterboxd, BlakeHolder. I'll be on there logging some stuff. I guess technically I didn't relog The Last Duel because I logged it when I first watched it in the summer. I'll probably end up doing the same thing with the 9 days. But yeah, I'll be on there. Did I say my name? Yeah, it's BlakeHolder. Instagram, PlayStation, Xbox, PSN, whatever you want to call it. Xbox Live is all Mr. Water Coolers. You can find me there and chat it up. What about you, Adam?
I wasn't expecting you to toss it back to me so fast.
Yeah, man.
Find me-
Changing it up.
Yeah.
On your toes,
You
sir.
can find me on Twitter at Aish24, where I've been posting my Wordles. Today and yesterday were rather frustrating. We're rather difficult, but
Did I get
still a lot of
today's?
fun. Did you do today's? I sent you today's.
Okay, yeah, then
Pretty sure you
yeah.
got
I forget them all the time. They're so, like, you have to do them every day.
They do kind of blend together a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah. Find me on Twitter at H24. You also see when my stream goes live, because I do stream at twitch.tv/H, and I'll typically tweet it out when I'm live, or at least for my bigger streams. And then find me on Letterboxd for all that stuff. Whenever I decide to keep updating that is H, AYYSH. Tyler, heard you're streaming.
Hey, yo, my name's Tyler. I Twitch. It's twitch.tv/El Trabajo 87. Come hang out. It's a good time. And sometimes we open Pokemon cards on there. That shit's fun too. So we're going to try and get Call of Duty out of the rotation here a little bit more because it's disastrous right now. But yeah, come hang out. It's always a good time. And other than that, Instagram, Letterboxd, and Twitter are all Tyler Vidalis, Vidales, Nathaniel.
What up, folks? I'm Nathaniel. I'm at Letterboxd at NSGingrich, or on Twitter at NSGingrich, at Instagram, NathanielG92, other podcasts, Sandpiper Tapes. And the goal is for me to start streaming, hopefully here on probably by the start of February, I'm hoping. And no real plans too much right now as of yet. Probably continuing our stuff on Friday with Tyler's at least. But we'll see what's up.
Cream team.
All right. Well, I think that'll do it here for episode 87. We're getting up there, guys.
Getting old.
Thank you guys for listening. Yeah. Thank you all for listening, especially if you made it this far into the episode. I really appreciate it. Join us next week for our review of 9 Days, and we'll BRB.
Be excellent to each other, everyone, and we will BRB.
Thanks for stopping by. Please like, comment, subscribe on any of our platforms that we stream from. It's greatly appreciated and helps us grow, and that's something we want to do. So do that, and we will, we'll be appreciative. And we will BRB.
Thanks for listening, as always. Time's flying, right? The month of January is almost over. So please make sure everything's okay. Take care of your mental health. Take care of your physical health. We got 11 more months of this year, and we'll keep it moving. We'll BRB.
America. Ready for another lesson.
You guys want to see the card I pulled the other day?
Yes. Caesar.
Grim Snarl.
Cool.
Yeah, it's about a $50 card. It's pretty dope.
Nice, man.
Yeah. I bought a lunchbox today. Not
Where
a
do
real
you buy
lunchbox.
those Pokemon cards from?
I've been branching out a little bit more. We do obviously have them at work, but I try not to buy them at work so much because it makes me feel like I can just buy them all the time. So I try to kind of stay away from it at work now. But Meyer has some, Target has them. And then today I went to take Leah's car to go get an oil change, and I was kind of out by a Barnes & Noble that I know has some, or had known that may potentially have had some, so I went over there and they did, so I bought one today.
Nice.
It was a Celebrations lunchbox.
Lunchbox.
See, jeez.
See, jeez.